the girl a-running in a group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look at Buddy, hot rod at large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod. She's my hot rod.
I don't do this all the time, but it's time that you and I talk and talk serious. Back in 07, I told you when the Toyotas were running away, it was not the floor mat that did it. It was a computer glitch, and sure enough, it was. But nobody wanted, of course, Toyota didn't want to admit it. The ignition switch. That had been going on for years. I knew that problem. We fixed them in my shop. My shop is 36 years old, so I've fixed them for a long time. I knew there was a problem there. How many people got killed? I don't know. We've been through this. The Takata airbags. I told you, yeah, these airbags are not good. They're exploding, and this is going to be a worldwide recall. And guess what? It was. Well, I got a new one for you now, and I'm not happy about it because it's big. Anybody that has a late model GM with a 3.6 V8 needs to listen to what I'm talking about right now. This is important. There are bulletins out. There's even what they don't call it a recall. It's a customer campaign appreciation call. In other words, you go in and you complain about this, and this is what they'll do. Well, anyway, I'll give you an example. One bulletin from 2007 to 2010 talks about all the problems that you're going to have with this 3.6, and they have replacement cylinder heads. There's two different generations of replacement cylinder heads. It's just terrible. These things are, the motors, here's the problem. The whole problem is lubrication. It's drainage of oil. It's the lubrication of oil. It's just a poor design engine. There's not enough they can do to fix it. I called Jasper, my buddy from Jasper Engine, because I use Jasper rebands. They're remanufactured. And he said they are so happy that every once in a while GM will build one of these motors or design one that is designed so bad that all they have to do is they're doing 17 remanufacturing, 17 changes to the motor before they put it together and sell it to you, and they give you a 100,000-mile warranty. There's a reason for that. They won't give it. They got to give you a 100,000-mile warranty. They're not going to let it go unless they're actually proud of that motor and not afraid of it. That 3.6, I mean, they put them in the LaCrosse, the Cadillacs, Camaros. They put them in every GM. This goes back to 2007, all the way to 10, and they got more bulletins out. Here, I'm going to give you a GM. This is off the Jasper Engine website. I went there and looked at it, and this is what they say about the 3.6. And I read it to you because I want you to hear what they say, what their engineers have said. The 3.6 engine, CDI, is commonly used in popular applications such as Chevrolet, Traverse, Equinox, Camaro, Impala, Caprice, police applications, Cadillac STX or SRX, all of them, Buick LaCrosse. The original 3.6 engine is susceptible to issues that include, it sounds like I'm reading the possible side effects of a drug on TV. They get long. But they are susceptible to oil consumption, dry startup, piston scoffing, cylinder bore wear, head gasket failure and leaks, camshaft noise, VVT failure, which is variable valve timing. That's very high tech. Low oil pressure, knocking, valve guide wear, spun reluctor wheel, and timing, fuel leaks, and runnability. That is what that motor is used to. You keep it long enough. You know, the last GM you bought and you ran 140 or 80,000 miles. You're not running this one, no, 180,000 miles. I'll tell you right now. They have nothing but trouble. The oil pickup tube. The oil pickup tube has a seal. Now, this is an oil pickup tube is the thing that goes in your oil pan from the motor to suck the oil up into the engine and get it flying, get it going all over the engine, pumping there back and forth. You got to have good suction to suck that oil out of there and put it in there. Well, they have a problem with the seal on the pickup tube, and it goes bad and it leaks, and it's like sucking through a straw that has a hole in it down the way. you can't get any oil. So dry startup, terrible for your motor, absolutely horrible. Makes it, just wears it out 10 times faster. There's bulletins out there as old as 2000 to 2017 for carbon buildup on the valves, bad cylinder heads. It's sad. It's just sad what they've done. I tell you what, GM is offering this customer recall. I'm talking about the satisfaction campaign. It's not a recall. You call it a recall, and right away everybody go, oh, well, GM's paying for it. They're offering to pay for this, and it's a customer satisfaction program. The 3.6 liter, GM is offering this now. If you go in and you complain that you have oil pressure problems or you have any kind of engine problems, what they're doing is they're changing the calibration of the engine control module to tell you to change your oil sooner. In other words, that 7,000 mile they're talking about, that was just to sell you the car. Because if you go 7,000 miles on that car, you're not going to have that car long. I guarantee it. I absolutely guarantee it. And here's what happens. All the variable valve timing gears and the solenoids and the sensors, they're all lubricated by engine oil. Well, first of all, if that pickup down there is leaking, it can't suck good oil. Oil pressure is bad. But if that seal doesn't go bad, they made the ports and the little places where the oil goes on that particular engine so small that the least amount of dirt, the little bittiest particle of dirt, can clog them up and cause failure. My shop, we changed those variable valve timing sensors and solenoids. It's like buying a bag of candy. Any parts store stocks them now. I mean, they stock them. Why would you stock something like that? Because they're not cheap. They stock it because they're bad. You got to know that this oil pressure thing is a terrible thing. And that oil pressure amount, your percentage left, throw that away. Put a piece of tape over that. You don't want to watch that. Because if you do that on this engine, you're not going to have this engine long. That engine is not, it's a poor design. Jasper has 17 things they do to make the oil pressure get better, to make it last longer. They put different valve and time, variable valve timing and sensors on it and solenoids because they're not made well. This whole thing is a great design. That variable valve timing is just a great design for fuel economy and power and reliability. But then they didn't lubricate it. They didn't make the passages big enough to get the oil to them. Guess what happens? It's not pretty, and you're going to get expensive repair bills.
Miles, or you'll be looking at new cars or an engine replacement.
Oh, absolutely. 3,000 miles. I tell my guys to put on a sticker. I don't care if it's full synthetic, and it costs you more. It has to be. It has to be full synthetic, and it has to be 3,000 miles, or you're going to launch that motor. I guess you guys at Jasper are starting to make a ton of money on these guys, huh?
Well, it's an engine that has a lot of issues. I didn't catch the whole show. Did you happen to talk about the piston rings on that engine and the low tension rings?
Oh, you know what? No, I didn't. Why don't you tell my listeners this, because this is cool. This is really good. Brian can tell you about this.
But those low tension rings, when they came out with them in the 07, 06, they've got about a third of the tension of a standard oil ring. And what that means is compression is getting past the rings down to the crankcase, and oil is getting past the piston rings up on top of the piston, and there's your oil consumption. George, I got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Timing chains and tension are stretching and going bad. We didn't have this problem back on the old overhead cam engines, not in this magnitude. The old 5.7s, Chevy 350s, 305s. How often did you have a timing chain stretch or break?
Oh, absolutely not. Even the newer V6s and any kind of four-cylinder, these chains don't go bad. Belts do, but chains don't. Chains don't go bad. You know, this whole 3.6 is a bad design with the oil pressure, with the bad oil pickup. There's no oil flowing in it. That's like the old 4100. There's no oil flowing in this motor.
Yep, and those chains and guides, if they're off just a little bit with those 4 cam phasers on there, the 4 BBT solenoids, if you're off just a little bit, now, your engine isn't running right, it's rattling, making noise, lack of power, and you're in the shop. That all boils down to the overconsumption and and the lack of lubrication.
I had one run through the shop on Friday. We heard it. We pulled it in. I didn't take 10 minutes to diagnose.
Unfortunately, it takes 13 and a half hours to retime that engine. And who knows if you have other damage where those camshafts are supposed to be riding on a thin layer of oil. If you run that sucker low or if you don't have the right pressure, that camshaft isn't riding on a thin layer of oil. It's riding on the housing.
Here's the deal, Brian. I'm telling you, when we get something like that, we don't repair those. I tell you right now, we won't open up a 3.6. It's like opening up a cancer patient. I call Jasper and I get a reman engine that has all the updates and better oil pressure.
Well, a lot of people out there, a lot of shops are gambling on I can fix it with just chains and guides. And I don't know about you, but I'm not too good at gambling. I always seem to lose.
Oh, absolutely.
13 and a half hours shop labor is a big gamble. I wish you the best, but odds are it's to be in your favor.
Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, it's just too much work on a guess. I won't do it.
Yeah.
I know what's going to happen. Brian, I'm glad you called. I know you're always listening. I love you, man. I'll see you soon. Thanks for calling.
Sure thing, George. You take care. Good job, sir.
Thanks, buddy. I'm telling you guys, I get a new engine. And I wouldn't buy a new one from GM because they're the people that screwed up the design in the beginning.